Take a look at really the starting pitching matchup in this one, and of course Matt Wright on the hill for the Skeeters, but starting for the Bluefish is David Anderson.
You see just the one start and a 1.58 earned run average, so we've seen a handful of the pitchers in this rotation for the Bluefish. As far as Anderson is concerned, he's just had that one outing, 5 2/3 innings, given up an earned run. It was against York, but he was signed by Bridgeport right out of college in Syracuse. So one start, it's been an interesting trip into pro ball. Normally, we're talking about guys, grizzled veterans who have been in the league in independent ball, affiliated ball, maybe even major league ball. Not the case. Burns, Valdez, and Rodriguez. And it's Luis Rodriguez catching David Anderson, and I'm fascinated by this story. We talk about this league getting younger at times, and maybe guys coming from non-affiliated baseball. He's coming straight out of college, and it's not a power school. We're talking about Muhlenberg College in Syracuse, New York. He's had one professional start.
Oh, 22-year-old. Signed by Bridgeport. Prior to that start, went 5 2/3 against York. Allowed 1 run, 4 hits, 6 walks, and 3 Ks. Signed by Bridgeport just recently, and has exactly one more professional start than 100% of the Skeeters front office staff. That's not a lot.
Wouldn't be so sure.
1 ball and no strikes to count. No score here, bottom of the first. He was batting for the first time, and a hard shot to third, stopped by Batista. He gets up from his knees and throws to first. What a play by Willie Batts at third. And is he good? How where he is on the diamond. Look at this play. Dives to his left, thinks he doesn't have enough time to get all the way up from his knees. A strong throw to first, right on the money.
Thought once he had a difficult time getting the ball out of his glove that Willie was going to beat it, but he showed off that strong arm, and normally you see that from a third baseman.
One Willie to another. Jeff Dominguez will step in, a switch-hitting left fielder, batting here from the left side against right-hander David Anderson. First pitch, a fastball for a strike. That was 86 miles an hour. We get a close-up of Anderson. We get a chance. He even looks young from all the way back here. This one swung on, hit to the left side. Batista near the grandstand. Does he have room? Reaches out, and he did have room, but we're trying to avoid the fence there. And stuck his mitt. Was a little short. Don't need in stature. And that wall is creeping up on you. Very easy to slow down quickly. So it stayed in the field of play and just a little bit short.
Needs some help from his shortstop right there.
Yep. And you hear the bench usually yelling, got room, and he was by his own bench. So no balls and 2 strikes, so Dominguez with second life here. 3-0-2 here by Anderson. This one is low and away, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Anderson gets the sign. Let's see where Rodriguez steps up. Rodriguez almost twice his age. Rodriguez 41, Anderson 22. 1 ball and 2 strikes, the count remains. And I think that happened in big league history at some point with maybe a young catcher catching Phil Necro at the end of his career, or maybe older veteran pitchers. I think Sancho Page was in there somewhere.
I'm sure he was.
This one is outside. Got to be only a handful of times, though. The catcher was half the age of the pitcher.
Maybe a Carlton Fisk.
There you go.
Yeah, what did he catch till he was 44, 45?
Yeah, something like that.
I felt like it was maybe mid-40s, but I could be wrong on that.
Let's see here. 3 balls and 2 strikes, so Anderson moves ahead of him. 1 and 2 now runs it full. Yeah, 45 years old.
Can you imagine?
How do your knees hold up that long? This one is hit high in the air. Dominguez aggravated. He swung at that pitch, flips the bat away, and not an easy play for the second baseman, J.O.D. Valdez, but he'll bring it down for out number 2. Travis Scott comes in, 252, 4 home runs, 34 RBIs, and Scott is just red hot right now. Last night drove in 4 of the 8 runs with a sac fly and his 4th home run of the year. Take a look at his home run last night. He just destroyed this ball. A line drive bullet almost at the grassy berm area out there, went into the bullpen. Scott will bat here against Anderson. First pitch here by David. This one way inside, got away from him. 1 ball and no strikes. Now, Travis Scott is hitting 18 of his last 21, 26 for 82. That is a .317 stretch with 2 home runs, 8 doubles, 15 RBIs. He's been getting on base a lot during that stretch. 9 walks to boot. This one just misses off the outside corner. 2 balls and no strikes. I talked about Carlton Fisk. I don't know that Fisk was ever seriously hurt as a catcher. That's saying a lot about your knees. Rodriguez, first time he missed any time was this year. This one a bullet out to left center field, and that'll be the final out. But man, is Scott hitting it on the nose wherever he slugs it. A bullet there to center field. So a 1-2-3 inning thanks to the great play by Batista, and the final out through 1 inning of play. Bears still no score. Skeeters, ESPN. First pitch here to Delwyn Young is a strike, no balls and 1 strike. Both Young and Travis Scott had back-to-back home runs, but the home run by Young gave him sole possession of the Skeeters' all-time home run record, 29. This one grounds into third. Batista on the run, fires it to first, and there's 1 away.
His shot yesterday was a no-doubter in the sense that we know how tough it is to homer to right field. He hit it over the bullpen onto the berm area. And that's when you know you've hit the money ball, and you hit one that far.
It's the strike ball, like in the NBA three-point contest, right?
Should count for a run and a half if you hit a ball up on the berm.
Oh, man, I'm still waiting for the 5-run homer rule to be installed. Oh, with 1 out and none on, in steps Chris Wallace. We talked about the pace of play rules over here the last few years. One of the rules that's been considered and still actually being considered is in extra innings putting runners on first and second with nobody out, starting I think after, I want to say the 10th inning. What are your thoughts on that?
I could see from the 11th inning on, in the sense that, you know, you don't want to blow up too much pitching for one night. I don't know if the 11th inning is too soon. Maybe you wait to the 12th inning to do so. Obviously, they do that in International League play, and sometimes that basically decides who gets the shiny medals and who does not.
One swung and missed. What's your pro and con for that kind of a rule?
Well, pro, I think it just keeps you from having to use a starter or a position player to pitch if you get too deep. The con is that, you know, it's just not real baseball in the sense that, you know, you're basically providing free runners, and I don't know if you go to the last out or last 2 guys that were recorded outs and put them at second base or third base, but because they do it in the Olympics or that international style of World Baseball Classic,
well, there's pitch limits and stuff with those, so it's a little bit different, and obviously it's a tournament and a condensed series, so you might not have as much pitching, but when you're playing 140 games, you have a 25-man roster. Do you think it's worth doing?
I do.
From the broadcasting end, I suppose, mostly, right?
From the broadcasting standpoint, it's weird, because obviously someone who's out will score, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Someone who's put on the bases, who made the final out in the 10th inning, will start at third base or second base in the 11th inning and score. So that'll be bizarre.
I agree with you. It would have to be the last 2 outs, because then you could put your 2 fastest guys, you could double steal, so that way it's kind of more random and have to be the last 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I don't know if I'm for or against it, really. I mean, I'm with you. I like, you know, traditional baseball and things not to be messed with too much. I do love the pace of play rules here, the taking the pitcher, the visits to the mound, and the batter stepping out. This one is hit to the left side. Matt Burns, the shortstop, just on the grass, will bring it down for the second out. So 5 up, 5 down.
One of my arguments against would be the fact that there's a DH in effect. Doing National League Baseball for 7 years, there were a lot of times you pinch hit for the pitcher, double switch. By the time you got to about the 9th or 10th inning, you were out of bench players,
sure.
and then you had used 4 or 5 pitchers in the course of double switches, and that's when you really would get into these games that were ugly. I don't know how many 18-inning games I called, at least 3 or 4, because teams just quite frankly had nothing left. And if the big star didn't get the home run or the hit in the 11th inning, you were looking at the 14th, that type of thing, and it was going to be a long night.
Now, I want to ask you, because I'm always curious now, you grew up a Royals fan, yet you did big league baseball for 7 years as a broadcaster. Which do you prefer, DH or the pitcher's hitting?
You know, I used to like the American League, but I grew to the fact of enjoying the National League style because my last 8 years in AAA were National League teams. So we, of course, played by National League rules in AAA, and pitchers were batting and utilizing double switches and such. And that got a little troublesome on the AAA rosters because they were never at full capacity.
One other interesting point is this one is chop, foul 1 and 2. My first gig was in advanced in the Carolina League, where there's some National League and American League teams, and they have the choice to decide before the game which one they wanted to use. But most of the time, they use the DH. I don't ever remember playing a National League team where we decided the pitcher was going to hit. So that was kind of interesting at times. You have to play by both rules.
There's one game in Calgary, Canada, where the AAA team was so shorthanded, the pitcher was the DH. And as we looked at the lineup, I think it was Chip Hale who now manages the Diamondbacks. He goes, "What do you think of this?" Because he had no other options. And I said, "Well, why is he betting ninth? You should be betting him fifth. He's better than 4 guys in the lineup." He said, "I can't do that. I mean, I can't show up 4 of my position players and betting fifth or sixth.
Good point.
You're obligated to bet him ninth because he's the pitcher." And then he doubled off the fence.
Roy Merritt batted for himself earlier in a game this year. Did pretty well, went 1 for 3. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs here. No score, bottom of the second. So far, the young Anderson pitching very well here. This one, he is fouled straight back. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Anderson in his first start, if you're just joining us, at 5 2/3. Just 1 run. As Brett mentioned, just out of college this year. But 2-2. One swung and fouled off the fist by Osuna into the net.
I guess it
remains 2 and 2.
Doesn't completely surprise me that maybe there'd be a situation like this where there'd be a kid that late in the year you'd sign him out of college and throw him into the independent ranks. But it does surprise me that it's the Atlantic League, and it surprises me he's a starter and not just a guy in the back end of the bullpen.
The 2-2. Swung and a miss, strike 3. Some giddy up on that fastball. 87 miles an hour. First strike of the night. And Anderson has has retired the first 6 batters he has faced through to end of the second inning. We are through 2. There's still no score. We move to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Skeeters will try to get Matt Wright a run here. It'll be Denny Almonte, Patrick Palmero, and Amadeo Zesueta.
When you talk about getting a run, sometimes it's just a matter of getting a base runner. And Bridgeport's had 1. It was quickly erased, so Matt Wright's faced the minimum. And, of course, David Anderson, the young kid straight out of college, has retired all 6 that he has faced. So as Almonte steps in, the Skeeters just trying to get a base runner.
Denny Almonte, first pitch is strike. This one swung and a bullet down the right field line. That's a fair ball. It's going to get into the corner. Almonte's going to get a double easy. Let's see if he stops there. He will. And a leadoff double, and now it gets away, and Almonte's going to go all the way to 3rd. Another error for these Bluefish. That was missing a cutoff, man, at that. I'll go down as a double, and I believe in E9. Let's see how they score this one here. You watch Almonte stop here. Nice job by Sabatelli getting that quickly. He stops, puts on the brakes, loses the shin guard, and then the ball gets away, and there's nobody there to get it. Heads up by Almonte. He saw that immediately and went run around 3rd with nobody out.
Hitting it a real nice swing in his last at-bat last night. He singled into right field in the 8th inning, knocking in a run and provided the final and 8th run for the Skeeters. And good to see him then turn around in his first at-bat tonight and rip another ball.
12th double of the year for Almonte. Let's see if Palmero can drive him in here. First pitch to Patty, low and away. 1-0 the count. Let's see if the Skeeters can convert here. They have done well with runners in scoring position. This one swung and missed.
Here's a guy I'd like to see get going, though. I mean, you mentioned the other day, does it look like guys are a little bit tired, and it just kind of has that feel for Patrick as we look at the numbers?
Look at that. Scott 312, Tavares 353, Wallace done well, Lamonte and Dominguez. Look at those RBIs, too. Nice job there. This pitch is low and away. 2 balls and a strike here. Palmeiro came in just 236 home runs, 38 RBIs. He is trying to break an 0 for 11 drought. Infield is back except for first and third. So any ball hit to the shorter second baseman will get a run, as well as obviously a sac fly. This one's a strike, 2-2 here on Palmeiro. See if Patrick can get this run in here. Just 4 for his last 47 as well. 085 over his last 14 games here. That is not the way Patrick usually hits, just a slump for him right now. Swung and a miss here. And Palmeiro goes down, so Skinners will have one more shot at getting a run in without the benefit of a hit. Second strikeout for Anderson.
So playing the infield back with nobody out. Now the Bluefish will recalibrate. They'll bring the infielders in. The number 9 hitter at the plate, trying to keep this in a scoreless game.
Okay, if you're going to bring the infield in on 1 out, why not do it on no outs?
I think no outs, you don't want a big inning. You don't want to kickstart something. I think with 1 gone, the thought is that, especially the number 9 hitter, the bottom of the lineup, might be more willing to expect a ground ball.
Let's see if Amadeo can get it in. This one low and away. 1 ball and no strikes.
If it was a player like Almonte, I might play him back. I might try and go for the strikeout rather than worrying about a hard ground ball at an infielder.
The 1-0 here by Anderson. This one is high. 2 balls and no strikes. Anderson, 39 pitches, 25 for strikes. Let's see if Zasweta gets a good pitch to hit here on 2-0. This one is a little bit low and high. 3 balls and no strikes. You got to think Amadeo is taking at least 1 here. And maybe swing away on 3-1 if he gets a strike. Scooter's trying to strike first here again. The 3-0 here to Zasweta. This one is a strike right at the knees, taking all the way. 3-1 the count. Left-handers might have a shot here tonight. Very slight breeze. Right now it's actually slightly blowing out towards right center, but almost no wind. This one is hit up the middle. That's going to get a run and a base hit for Amadeo Zasweta. His 26th RBI of the year, and the Skinners take a 1-0 lead.
Good job by Zasweta, just putting this ball in play, hitting it right back up the middle. Once it got by the mound with the infield in, it didn't matter how many bounces it had in it, it was going to score Almonte.
Oh, pitch number 40 by Anderson gets the first run of the game. Go back to the top of the order with Willie Taveras. Taveras just started his first game in a long time last night, got 2 hits, going 2 for 4, with a run scored, and he stole home on the back end of a double steal. See if Willie can keep it going here. This one way outside. 1 ball and no strikes to count. And Brett, were you with the Astros when Taveras and Ward were both there?
No, only Willie T.
So they didn't cross paths with the Astros, did they? One is hit towards short. This might be 2. They go second for 1. The relay to first. That's going to be in time. 6-4-3 on the DP, and that will do it. Bob, the Skinners strike first. They get 1 run on 2 hits. No errors, and 1 man left on base. We're through 2. Excuse me, we're through 3. Third of the way through. Skinners are leading 1-0.
At El Pollo Loco, it's been
Ring. We got a whole trophy case, medals.
I've told you I've missed out on a couple. I missed out on the Final Four by a year, a World Series by a year, a AAA championship by a year. So even though I've got a couple, just a little better timing somewhere along the line would have helped out.
I'd like timing just once to go in my favor. I'm not asking for a room full of medals like you, Dolan, with your trophies and your rings, necklaces, medals, cars.
Stop.
The 1-0. This one is a little bit outside. 1 ball and 1 strike to count here. Schools will try to retake the lead here by sending up Dominguez, Scott, and Young. The 2-0. This one outside. Ball 3-0. Anderson has not walked a batter yet, in danger of doing it right here. Dominguez came in 290 with a home run and 6 RBIs. This one a strike, 3-1 the count. Anderson kicks in, delivers the 3-1, and this one swung in, belted into center field and deep. On the run is Chapman, but he'll get there in left center for out number 1. Dominguez hits it on the nose, just like Scott did last time. Up, and it was an out as well. And here comes Travis Scott. Scott, 252, 4 home runs, 34 RBIs. Travis just 1 run short of being the all-time run leader, at least tying for the Skeeters' all-time lead for runs scored. The home run, he could not only do that, but pull to within 1 of Josh Presley for second on the all-time home run mark. Men on deck is the current all-time Skeeters home run king. We'll get to that in a moment when DY bats. This one, a wild pitch, goes back to the screen. 1 ball and no strikes to count. All teams with 1 run on 2 hits. Bridgeport 1 error, the Skeeters none. Scott has an open stance from the left side of the box. Anderson rocks and fires the 1-0. Swanning hits sharply to first, and that's a fair ball. Knocking it down is Rodriguez. The throw to first in the turn, and Anderson on the run scoops it and touches first. What a play by the pitcher. Yeah, ever seen that from a pitcher?
No, and we've been critical, and I think rightfully so, on the Bluefish defense, but this is a great stop with this hard one-hop pick. It's like you're taking a short hop ground ball as a shortstop near the base and trying to take it into a double play. So that's a good athletic play from David Anderson.
Anderson, now you see DY. Let's get his all-time home run record with a bomb last night. It was back-to-back home runs by Travis Scott and Delwyn Young. It was in the 5th inning last night. The Skeeters scored 4 runs, and that really propelled them to the 8-3 victory. This one nope, that one a little low. That was a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 outs, 1-1 your score here in the top of the 4th. A 1-1 here to Young. This one swung and missed. Foul tipped into the mitt of Luis Rodriguez. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the home run from DY last night. Look at this. That was a 9-iron tee shot. Down and got that one, and man, did he destroy that. Did he put that one on the grassy knoll over there?
Yes, he did.
I think I saw a shooter over there. This one is swung and missed, strike 3, and that'll do it. Third 1-2-3 inning for Anderson in the first 4. Through 4, your score: Bridgeport 1, Sugar Land 1. Back in a moment.
93Q presents Country at the Ballpark, starring Chris Young.
There we are, little window, see?
Where are we? Here we are. If it was last night, we'd be the only thing you'd see in the 8th inning when the lights went out, except in here. We started tonight with a rain delay of about 40 minutes, but really it's, from a temperature standpoint, ideal. Low 80s. Meanwhile, young David Anderson. You see the light breeze up on the hill, the Berman right center. I'm intrigued by this David Anderson story. Second professional start coming out of Muhlenberg College in Syracuse. And had we played that game and you said he came from Muhlenberg College, and guess where? I wouldn't have had a clue.
Oh, man, I would have stumped.
You would have stumped me tonight. I guarantee you would have. Chris Wallace popped to short his only time in, leading off the bottom of the fifth. But to your recollection, I mean, does this happen but maybe once every couple of years when a kid from a somewhat obscure college is thrown right into the Atlantic League?
I mean, that's what we talked about this year. Last year he wouldn't be in this league. The year before he definitely wouldn't be in this league. You know, it's really because of a lot of the players that have gone to the Mexican League and even that players that have left to the American Association, because the veterans can make more in the American Association than they can here. The Atlantic League has lost a lot of top players. I mean, we look up and down the top categories, hitting, doubles, all those guys like Lou Ford, they're all gone.
Boy, just a ball smoked to center field, but Wallace retired for out number one. I guess I've always thought of maybe the Frontier League is that league, or even the American Association, where if you go undrafted and you want to play baseball, you know, that's where you migrate towards, rather than facing guys like Darrell Ward and Willie Taveras and such and others. But whatever the case may be, we told you the numbers of Anderson his first start against York. He gave up 4 hits and a run in 5 2/3 innings. He did walk 6 that day, so he worked around some trouble. But a 1.55 ERA after that first start. He's given up just 1 run through 4 1/3 innings this evening. That's when Almonte doubled in the 3rd inning. There's another ball hit well to center, though. That's at least the 3rd ball hit right at Chapman in center. Scott, Wallace, and Osuna both found the glove of Ethan Chapman in center field, and there's 2 outs. Here's Almonte. Danny doubled down the right field line. He scored that run back in the 3rd inning that gave Sugar Land a 1-0 lead before the Bluefish got a run back in the top of the 4th. We talk about the wacko-meter from time to time and how you see some crazy stuff. Well, try this one on for size last night in the 8th inning. Danny Almonte is running right. Nobody's covering. This is an easy stolen base until the ball hits his foot. Danny nearly slips down. You don't see the ball. It propels straight to the shortstop, whose throw home got Osuna. It was like a pinball machine. He couldn't have thrown it any better to the shortstop than he kicked it.
It was nuts. I've never seen anything like that. And just saw Osuna there. He got there first, but got the hand in late trying to get around the catcher.
So instead of Almonte, having a stolen base and the ball sailing by him in the center, because neither the shortstop or second baseman was there, it was going to be an easy run. Instead, it was kicked to the shortstop. And Valdez fired home for an out at the plate. That's a swing and a miss and a strikeout. And young David Anderson strikes out Almonte and puts up a perfect 5th inning. So on we go to the...
A lot of young minds.
Let's face it, there's a lot of people that live in this area because of the schools.
Your kids go to school in this area, don't they?
They do. We're just across the border from Fort Bend ISD. We're in Lamar, but we're all neighbors. There's Palomera. Rolls 1 to 3rd in the first pitch. Bautista will take care of his counterpart, and there's 1 out here in the last of the 6th inning.
We're all neighbors, huh? So can I knock on your door, borrow
Please
some
don't.
sugar?
No, please don't.
A microphone?
Nope.
$1?
Maybe.
Oh, what a gem. You're a bad neighbor.
Below average, yes.
At least I don't live on either side of you. You the kind of guy that's up at 7 a.m. mowing the lawn on a Saturday, is that you?
No, but the last couple of days I've been up loud enough where I honk my horn on my way by and give it a little extra tap for you at 4 in the morning.
Was that you?
Sasueta knocked in the lone Skeeter's run when he singled past the drawn-in infield in the 3rd inning.
This morning it was pouring rain, and I heard somebody with a lawnmower and a trimmer. Really? Do you really want to get your yard work done?
Gonna beat the rain.
Come on. No, it was already pouring. It's like, A, you're going to get electrocuted, and B, it's not going to work with wet grass.
Skinners have scored 22 runs in their last 3 games, just 1 tonight. Maybe that's the beginning of a run or more here in the 6th. As Sasueta has singled in both at bats. In fact, he has 66% of the Skeeters' hits.
That was pitch number 70 for Anderson. Be interesting to see how long Gary Gaddy lets Matt Wright go once he gets to the 100 pitch mark, unless maybe Matt takes himself out.
I would think Matt's looked good tonight, and maybe another inning at least. You know, you don't want to get greedy. You want to leave on a high note, but
that's true.
Also want to see this team score a run, and that might change things. And Willie with a chop at a third. Bautista knows he has to hurry. He'll throw to second on the run. No chance to get a double play here. That ball hit the railing. The catcher, Rodriguez, wasn't there to back it up. That'll mean an extra base for Willie T. So no double play. And Taveras ends up in scoring position, so that'll be another error on the Bluefish in this series.
Nice play by Bautista. I don't know that Burns really had a good shot at first. Probably should have ate the ball.
I agree.
Literally, of course, but second error tonight.
Error totals are really piling up. Feels like a lot of them have come from the right side of the diamond, too.
10 errors in all for the Bridgeport Bluefish in this series now. As I said before, this is a good fielding team. They came into this series third in the league. Let's see where they rank now. They're still third.
See if Dominguez can cash it in. Immediately drive in a run. He's 0 for 2. He's hit the ball in the air twice. He's popped to second. He's fly to center. Back foot breaking ball. Willie T, you know, he has the speed from second base that anything to the outfield with 2 outs is more than likely going to score him. Give the Skeeters the lead again.
The Skeeters actually 97 errors, tied for second most in their history. The most they've ever made is 108, so they might have the worst fielding team they've ever put together.
They're living in a glass house and they're not throwing stones. And just as you ridicule the defense, that one nearly pulled Rodriguez from the back. I thought we were going to see maybe a throwing error after what was a great play made by Valdez. But the inning is over, and we remain tied at 1 through 6 innings. On we go to the 7th in a 1-1 game.
You have to see it to believe it. It's Floor & Decor, now open in Sugar Land. Over 1 million square feet of quality